This is the mysterious, unsolved case of the Isdal woman. On November 29, 1970, the body of an unidentified woman was found in the woods near the village of Isdal in Norway. Her body had been burned so badly that she was almost unrecognizable, leading to one of the most enduring mysteries in Scandinavian crime history. In this episode, we'll take a look at the evidence, the suspects, and the theories surrounding this bizarre, unsolved murder. But first, please subscribe. It really helps my channel. Between November 27th and 29th, 1970, several villagers in Isdal, Norway reported seeing a young woman in her early 20s walking along the road near the village. She appeared to be hitchhiking and was carrying a large suitcase. The woman was described as blonde with a slim build and around 5 feet 6 inches tall. She was wearing a purple or blue dress and white shoes. Some witnesses claimed that she had red hair, while others said that she had long blonde hair. All agreed that she was carrying a large suitcase. On November 29th, 2 women were walking home from the Isdal church after attending a funeral. When they reached the Slingsby Road, they noticed a large fire burning on the other side of the road. The fire was strange because it wasn't the normal kind of fire they were used to seeing. They saw what looked like charred human bones and immediately ran out of the area screaming for help. When the police arrived at the scene, they found the burnt remains of a woman. Her entire body had been burned except for parts of her lower legs. The legs were intact, but all of the rest of her body was burned beyond recognition. Because of the condition of the body, the police couldn't determine a cause of death, or whether the woman had been dismembered before or after she died. There was also no identification on the body, and the woman had no fingerprints. Because of how close the fire was to the road, it's believed that the woman was killed somewhere else and then moved to this spot and set on fire. To identify the woman, the police released sketches and descriptions of her to the media. A woman named Anne-Lisa Grefsley came forward and told the police that she believed the dead woman was someone she knew only as Vivian. Vivian was a mysterious woman who lived in a cabin in the mountains outside of Oslo. Anne-Lisa had met Vivian several months earlier when she visited her at the cabin. When Anne-Lisa asked Vivian where she was from, she said she was originally from South Africa. However, Vivian seemed evasive and didn't want to talk about where she was from or how old she was. Anne-Lisa got the impression that Vivian was a fugitive hiding from the police in South Africa. At some point during the visit, Vivian showed Anne-Lisa a passport that said Vivian Isdal. The last place the passport had been stamped was Mexico City. At some point after their meeting, Anne-Lisa saw Vivian hitchhiking along the E6 highway, the same road where the Isdal woman was later found. Now Lisa told the police that she thought Vivian was probably hitchhiking to Bergen, which is where the ferry to Denmark leaves from, but Nelisa never saw Vivian again. When the police searched Vivian's cabin, they found many personal items, including a suitcase that matched the description of the one seen with the victim. They also found a gas bottle, a sleeping bag, clothes, and various documents. However, none of these items contained any fingerprints or DNA. There was also no evidence that Vivian had left the cabin, and there were no signs that she had recently returned. The police went to the local pub and talked to people who knew Vivian. They learned that she spoke very good Norwegian with a slight accent. They also said she was highly intelligent, charming, and well-traveled. She was often seen hitchhiking and liked to stay at cabins in the mountains. One person even claimed that they saw her at a pub in October, a month before her death. Throughout their investigation, the police couldn't find anyone who knew Vivian's real name or where she was really from. Many of those who knew her claimed that she was a fugitive from South Africa, but no one could confirm this. The police interviewed hundreds of hikers in the area where the woman's body was found, but no one had seen anything suspicious. Most people in the small town had never seen the woman before and didn't know who she was. This meant that the police were unlikely to ever solve the case. Without knowing who the woman was or why she was in the area, there was little hope of finding her killer. In the years since the Isdal woman's body was found, many have become obsessed with the case. Various theories about who she was and how she died have been proposed, but none have been proven. In 2002, a documentary was made about the case, which reignited public interest in the unsolved murder. People began to speculate that the woman may have actually been a spy. Some claimed that she had links to the Israeli intelligence service Mossad. Others said that she worked for the British Secret Intelligence Service. The fact that the police were unable to determine a nationality for the victim led people to believe that she was undercover, and that the authorities did and want the public to know the truth. However, these theories do unexplain why the woman was burned or why she was in Norway in the first place. It's possible that she did work for a government agency, but there's no evidence to prove this theory. Another theory claims that the Isdal woman was a victim of a serial killer. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, several women went missing in Norway, and their bodies were later found burned and mutilated. Police believe that these cases are linked, and that a serial killer known as the Fireman is responsible. However, the Isdal woman was not one of the victims. All of the victims in the serial killing spree were identified, and none of them matched the description of the Isdal woman. Additionally, none of the victims were burned in the same manner. The Isdal woman's body was almost completely burned, whereas the other victims showed no signs of being set on fire. A more plausible explanation is that the woman was hitchhiking and picked up by a serial killer. At the time the woman's body was found, 33 women had gone missing in Norway and Sweden. Investigators believe that some of these cases are linked and that several men are responsible for the disappearances. It's possible that the Isdal woman was hitchhiking along the E6 highway when she was picked up by a serial killer. He may have taken her to a secluded area and killed her, then transported her body to the woods near Isdal and set it on fire. The reason he chose to burn her body could have been to destroy the evidence, or perhaps he simply enjoyed the sensation of watching the body burn. Before the internet and cell phones, hitchhiking was a popular way to get around. However, it was dangerous for women who often had to rely on the kindness of strangers. Serial killers often targeted hitchhikers because they were easy victims. It could easily lure a hitchhiker off the road and no one would ever know. This appears to be what happened in the Isdal case. Unfortunately for the victim, she likely got into the car with a monster. Throughout the years, many people have come forward claiming to be the Isdal woman, but none of them could provide enough evidence to prove their identity. Her body was cremated shortly after the investigation began, and the ashes were buried in an unmarked grave. The woman was Vivian, as many believe. She may have chosen to bury her in an unmarked grave, so that nobody would know her real name or where she was from. The case of the Isdal woman remains one of Norway's most famous unsolved mysteries. It's possible that the case will never be solved because the victim was burned so badly that she could not be identified. Without knowing who she was or why she was in the area, it's difficult to narrow down a list of suspects or come up with viable theories. It's possible that the woman was traveling and became the victim of a random act of violence. Or she may have been targeted by someone she met on the road. Sadly, the truth may never be known. So what do you think? You think the Isdal woman was a spy, a runaway, a hitchhiker, or something else entirely? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe. It really helps my channel. Thanks for watching.